You know, guys, the only thing that really comes to my mind when I think about Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny, judging by the footage that has been presented through the teasers and the trailers and the TV spots, is I think to, of course, Austin Powers, where Michael Myers actually says, even Stinks would say that stinks. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support, and let's get right into another subject involving Phoebe Waller-Bridge, because let's face it, the vicious cycle is just non-stop at this point, where you have an apology train happening, you have people out there like Phoebe Waller and others really kind of downplaying the fans and pointing fingers at the fandom, stuff like that. It really is a never-ending cycle, unfortunately, until this film releases, where they are finally going to be able to realize exactly what the box office numbers are really going to look like. Now, on top of this, we know that Indy 5, the Dial of Destiny, is really going to either A, just break even, or B, it's going to be a box office flop. That's what a lot of the projections are pointing towards, especially going off of what the critics have been saying. Even the Hollywood critics, by the way, have really not been treating this film very, fair. They've been really kind of throwing hardballs at it, because this film does not really match up to any of the past Indy films, and the best reviews that I have seen is that it's slightly better than that of Crystal Skull, and that's not much of a compliment, really. So let's get right into exactly what's going on with Phoebe Waller-Bridge and what she had to apologize about. Now, with Phoebe Waller-Bridge now promoting Indy 5 as much as possible to get more people in theaters, she recently made an apology about the film that may come across as a big surprise to fans. Waller-Bridge went on to deliver the following to the fandom. I think one of our biggest mistakes for this film was shifting away from younger Indy. You see, we felt in the beginning that it was best to kind of keep that down to a bare minimum. The technology isn't perfect, but there are ways around that, such as night sequences. One of the big mistakes that I and James Mangold do apologize for and are sorry about is that we could have definitely explored more to do with younger Indiana Jones as originally planned, and Mangold felt he failed by not embracing that as much in the final cut as he could have. I think that was our lack of judgment while making this film, that the tech wasn't really there just yet for young Indy to be used excessively, when in reality we could have done so much more in the final cut. One other thing that I am also apologetic about was we really could have embraced more cameos in this film to contribute more to Indy's story. So guys, let me stop here for a second. I believe that this is Phoebe Waller-Bridge getting very frightened about what's going on with Applebee's and how fans are beginning to wake up about what's going on with that as a tactic by Disney to get as many theater seats filled as possible, and how fans are beginning to realize that Disney is very phony right now with the Indy 5 ticket sales and stuff like that. And so, I think that this apology is completely fake. It's not genuine. In fact, I would go as far to say is that it is 100% a fabricated apology, where she does not mean a word that she says. She's just saying what she needs to say, or saying what fans want to hear from her to get people into the theaters, to actually come across as more sentimental and more personable toward the audience. Because let's face it, she has been downplaying the fans quite a bit lately, and really calling fans toxic and man babies and basement dwellers. Why would fans want to go into the theater after that? And so now you're getting this 180, this big 360, I should say. And it could very well have to do with Disney executives kind of telling her to do this. Who knows? If this is a personal decision of hers, I don't know. But Phoebe Waller-Bridge has done this before, make no mistake, with the Han Solo film, where she pointed fingers at the fans. Then when the ticket sales were just really kind of failing for the Han Solo film, she then began to really become more apologetic and a little bit more, sentimental toward the fans. It's the same repeat and rinse and repeat cycle that's applying here as well, and that's why I don't believe a word that she's saying. The same exact thing happened with Kathleen Kennedy, with Bob Iger. This apology train is growing very old, and quite honestly, it's becoming a nuisance, because it's almost like to be expected at this point out of Disney and specifically Lucasfilm. But moving on. She goes on to elaborate further. So for those that feel this film is not for them because it lacks original characters, we do apologize for that and hope you give this film a chance to really see what we have in store. Even though we focus on the next generation of characters like Helena and Teddy, we feel that fans are going to enjoy an older take on Indy as a character. We did shoot some other de-age scenes for Indy and Harrison, so maybe we could have that in some kind of special cut in the future to make up for that loss. There is always room for improvement as far as I see it, with edits and everything like that in different Blu-ray editions. But Kathy felt using too much de-aging stuff for Indy would have taken the focus away from Helena and Teddy, so James respected her vision with that. Now guys, we know that Indy 5 is a pure bait and switch. For those of you that do see this movie, and that's your choice by the way, if you do see it, the first 20 minutes, give or take, is a full-on de-aged version of Indiana Jones. This is described to be the best moment of the film. In fact, it feels like an actual Indiana Jones movie. You get sucked into it so much because it's so fun and engaging. And then, boom, it just spirals downward out of control where it's Indiana Jones as a drunk. He's basically all out of shape because obviously he's old, but he's also a broken man. And we talked about the spoilers, by the way, guys. You know what kind of losses he has had before the events of the Dial of Destiny. We've talked about this and how that's going to be explained. To put it short, without spoiling anything, Indiana Jones is basically like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, somewhat, in this movie. That's the best way to kind of compare. And so, here you have Phoebe Waller-Bridge really getting very desperate, putting it out there that, yeah, we did film a lot more de-aged, material for Indiana Jones that we could have used, and we could have actually inserted more cameos in this film that would have really respected the legacy of Indiana Jones movies by Spielberg and Lucas, but no, we didn't do that, but now we're sorry about not doing that. It just grows very old for me, guys, and I don't feel bad for these people, not one bit. I have no sense of remorse for them, for what they are doing with this movie. And look, I don't try to be pessimistic just for the sake of it. I really feel like my spirit is split with the Indiana Jones 5 film, based on what we've been hearing, based on what we have seen, and how it just dismantles his legacy, his spirit as a character, and how that's where we leave things off. It's just as bad as how we left things off with Luke in The Last Jedi, because I don't count Episode 9 because he's just a Force ghost. It's almost as bad as that. And so it's just kind of disheartening to see this happen a second time again by Lucasfilm. It is 100% intentional, guys. I know to some of you that may sound a little bit crazy, but it is. 110% is. And so that's where we stand today in the film industry. So I would like to hear your take on all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them moans again.